Evolutionary biology. Evolution is a subfield of biology that studies the evolutionary processes like natural selection or kin selection, etc., that produce the diversity of life on Earth, proposed by the English naturalist Charles Darwin in 1859 by his book On the Origin of Species. We should know first that evolutionary biology is sometimes misunderstood. Evolution is to explain only the diversity of life or the variation of species we see in our planet Earth, and it has nothing to do with medicine. And we should know that other factors, most of the times denied by evolutionary biologists, played a role in the evolutionary process, like crossbreeding between animals could make new species, like the crossbreeding between dog and wolf will make a wolf dog, and the crossbreeding between donkeys and horses will make mules. Attention that this crossbreeding only is possible when the species are closely related like they are from the same family like Canida and Equida in our examples. Another factor that's been denied is the factor of mutations, the alteration in the nucleotide sequences of the genome. Most mutations are actually beneficial to the species. I know that sounds shocking, but it's true. Like bacterial resistance to antibiotics, which is a bacterial mutation and certainly played a crucial role in evolution. Other examples of beneficial mutations: Tibetans living in high altitudes, earthworm adaptations to harsh environments, the mutation that gave the antifreeze protein to Atlantic salmons, famine adaptation, or victims of the atomic bombs, etc. And speaking about bad mutations, we all know cancer, although it's deadly to the patient, some types of cancers are actually caused by viral infections, and this is actually necessary to the reproduction of the virus itself, so it's still beneficial to the virus. We can't as scientists deny everything happening in nature by only sticking to the idea of natural selection. Cloning is the process of producing individual organisms 100% identical by artificial means. The best example is Dolly the sheep, which has been cloned in 1996 and died in 2003 from a somatic adult nucleus. Somatic means corporal, or cell taken from the body like the skin of the animal, what was revolutionary actually in Dolly the sheep, because cloning is really happening in nature, and the best example of it is twins. Twins are actually natural embryonic clones. What I mean here by embryonic is that they are not somatic. Today you can crossbreed animals for fun using photo editing softwares, like here a dog and a squirrel. Heredity is what's needed in medicine. Unlike evolutionary biology, heredity is more important for doctors. Is the passing of traits from parents to their offspring in a lawful manner, discovered by the Austrian monk Gregor Mendel 1822–1884. Believe it or not, his papers never been considered and proved before the year 1900 after his death. Hybridization is the offspring resulting from combining the traits of two organisms of two breeds or species. This method was ancient actually and can be done in your backyard or your small garden, like hybridizing roses of different colors or hybridizing dogs like here Maltese Shih Tzu. Gregor Mendel proposed something he called alleles, which are genes of a particular trait where each individual offspring has two alleles of genes for each trait, one from his father and one from his mother, and the phenotype, the show-off results, are according to these alleles, either dominant or recessive, etc. Hybridization is not cloning, for it's done from the reproductive cells like the zygotes, by forcing the fertilization to happen literally by hand, and it's ancient and sometimes natural, like bees for instance are playing this role sometimes in nature. There was a debate which was called nature versus nurture, which is the argument of the question if the trait is genetically innate or it's acquired by conditioning. This argument has been solved by the term gene expression. Gene expression is the process of two steps, DNA transcription and mRNA translation, that regulate a protein. Where is gene expression? It can be found in almost everything in our physiology and chemistry. Like plant leaves can green or yellow by the sun rays exposure. Same thing happen in the production of melanin in the skin of our bodies. Growth in general is decisively affected by gene expression. Twins are the best evidence of gene expression. Although identical twins have the same 100% genetic constituent, They might have small differences in their phenotype, like their fingerprints, for instance, are different. This is the resulting effect of the environmental factors. Immunity is regulated by gene expression. A reminder that vaccination, or better to say inoculation, is regulated by gene expression. Lactation, our daily hormonal activity including hunger and digestion, coagulation and skin repair, the production of blood cells and the hemoglobin level, and of course hair repair and fingernails repair, etc. All are regulated by gene expression. Eugenics. What is eugenics? It's a movement part of human engineering that tries to study and enhance the offspring of the population by advancing the genetic analysis. The etymology of eugenics is eu means good or without flaws, and genics means offspring. So the goal of eugenics is to eliminate genetic diseases in general, like cystic fibrosis or hemophilia or maybe Down syndrome, plus the diseases that are affected by genes like cancer or diabetes. DNA sequencing is the analysis test of the sequence of the nucleotides that constitute a strand of DNA, could be an entire chromosome or nucleus, using what is called the sequencing technique. All sequencing techniques today work by using restriction enzymes, enzymes that cut the DNA like scissors. The traits of a child should be predicted before fertilization of the egg, with otherwise this will lead to abortion choices, and abortion is an ethical and religious debate. And reducing eugenics with a test for revealing the sex of newborns is actually similar to the abortion argument, because some societies are discriminatory to males over females, and here is contradictory to the will of God too. If menopause is considered a type of infertility, although infertility is not having any egg in the ovaries, the idea of in vitro fertilization could be an offering if she saved the old woman her eggs for future needs. But she can't because they are freezing unnecessary sperms, not eggs, and eventually she will need to hire a uterus from a younger woman, and still this is an ethical question. The dream was that every child will have a catalog for his genome. Imagine there's a technique that reads the DNA without breaking it up. Here is my technique. Using phosphorus isotopes for labeling the nucleotide, and with the help of an enzyme, the nucleotides will signal bands on a computer, and this will sequence the DNA in turn. This computer idea was so much related to the code number 1, pixels, and of course the Rubik's Cube. The positron is the twin of the electron, so the technique may remind us of the electron microscopy, but the particle here is emitted, not projected. And note that the atomic clock is the most accurate clock humanity has ever witnessed, and this will prove the accuracy of my technique. The pixel had to represent math, physics, coding, demography, and medicine all at once. But now this cube of color has been destroyed after the LGBT movement, which was nothing but pornography and prostitution, and because of Google's theft from coders when they were fighting to upload their apps on their Play Store, a tribute to the real founder of quantum mechanics, Max Planck 1858-1947. This photo is a mosaic made by the 6 colors of the Rubik's Cube. Without this guy there would be no RGB codes, and no internet, and none of all of the inventions that uses the spectrum of E equal hv. Demography is the statistical study of human populations using census data, surveys, and statistical models to analyze the size, movement, and structure of populations. Different than epidemiology, which is the study and analysis of the distributions, patterns, and determinants of health and disease conditions in a defined population. Although we know that some studies are cohort, and we know that some companies are collecting informations and health informations from people, this will be discussed later, but what we need here in eugenics is the demography, not epidemiology. The world population has grown, and if you want, you can see the world population clock on the internet, charted by countries if you'd like. From 600 million in the 700s to 1 billion in the 1800s, and 2 billion in 1929 during the Great Depression to 7 billion people in 2011, and the bell rang to 8 billion people in late 2022, educating people about contraceptive methods and postponing the date of marriage or the date of reproduction to around 1 decade could help in lowering the population growth, especially in countries which has the highest population growth like China, India, or maybe Egypt.